All right. Where we left Cord, he was sort of being, air quotes, recruited um, by two characters in Psy PD. That would be Agents Song and Granger, a working pair who have been charged to bring down the nightclub called My Wall. Although Song and Granger, typical for the city of Psy, are not. They're antagonists. That's for sure. They're not good people. Cord had been sort of scooped up by these two when he thought that they were fans of My Wall, not knowing that they were actually talking to Cord in order to sort of coerce him into helping them. And when he met them, they had sort of strong-armed him into recovering some sort of data tablet belonging to Granger. And then Cord ended up tracking the thief who stole it around the city of Psy. He sort of chased him down with while on public transportation. And that scene played out pretty simplistically. More simple than what I would have liked. So that's leading me towards leaning on Mythic GME. We're going to add Mythic to our solo role playing just for helping with scene creation and for tracking story threads and characters. However, I'm still kind of reticent to lean heavily on Mythic GME. I think Mythic gets really complicated really fast. So I'm just going to try Mythic for adding a little bit of creativity to what comes up, because I'm finding it kind of hard to do on the fly. But in as far as like in-scene mechanics, I'm still going to stick with solo work, because solo work is fantastic. Just testing against, like taking two bites at the apple for resolution and result, and interpreting that as strong or weak hits or failures has been really easy for me to use in the moment. And I thought, while we're shaking things up, why not introduce a new character? And I went ahead and rolled up tonight's protagonist. He is a that's Cord. Fade is a I'm drawing a blank on the term for his class. He is a Discharged Corp Killer, which is a favorite class of mine. Discharged Corp Killer and Burn Hacker are my two favorites, so this is working out probably pretty intentionally. Anyway, let's get into it with Fade. Our scene opens up as Fade is standing on a rooftop, like the edge of a rooftop, overlooking Lucky Strike, and he has his RCD afflicted gaze sort of zoomed in, although it's not very clear, because his RCD at this point is it's an outdated model. It's kind of old-fashioned. And two, his RCD is built for zero gravity, so it's actually kind of a delicate model, although it fits in nicely with his style of dress. Fade is done up in, he's wearing style guard, so he has a suit on with subtle signs of being armored. And as he stands on this building rooftop, staring down over Lucky Strike, that's the name of the club where Cord is being recruited, right? Lucky Flight. I was close. The Lucky Flight. He's watching Cord, Granger, and Sonia, I think her name is. That's our third character. Song. Granger, Song, and Cord. He's watching the three of them have a conversation and wishing he had the means to listen to them. But even as he's watching the three of them having their encounter, with a sort of distracted hand, Fade is using the sharp end of a crowbar to finish carving his moniker into the concrete wall, the brick or concrete wall of the building edge. Something that he likes to do wherever he goes is leave his name, sort of like a calling card. Fade is not a difficult man to track, much to his chagrin. And his attention is more focused on Granger of the three of them, although he does sort of assess Cord in short order and finds him to be, he says this is, in his head, he thinks this is clearly someone who is, one of these is not like the others. One of these is more like me, right? He identifies with Cord. And let's see, do the three of them leave Lucky Flight together? Let's go to our oracle. Let's see what Fade observes happening. So I'm sticking with, like I said, I'm sticking with solo work as much as I can. I do also have my cards here in case I need them. 10. Shoot, I didn't assign a difficulty, but a 10, unless it was very unlikely, it was possible that the three of them leave together. And so that's what happens. Fade observes as Cord is sort of like, each one of the two Psi PD officers puts their arm around Cord's shoulders, and they pretty much all but handcuff him to walk him towards their subtle squad car. Undercover squad car is what I mean. And from there, Fade is going to try to follow that car. I'm going to take a moment to spend some of Fade's money. He's got 120 credits, and I think in hindsight he would have prepared for tracking down Song and Granger, because that's what he's all about. We're going to get to that in a second. So take a second here and see if there's anything that Fade would have equipped himself with for this task. Really quickly. couldn't afford a surveillance drone, but he could have afforded a vision visor. Zoom, heat vision, night vision, ultrasound. Okay. So I'm going to add that to his inventory really quickly for 100 credits. Although he's sure wishing he could have talked to the salesman into lowering the price of that surveillance drone, because he could have used it to tag this vehicle. But from his vantage point, Cord watches the squad car, the sedan, slowly peel away and break into traffic. Fade turns about and quickly descends the building, going down the fire escape that he came up by. And let's see. Can he scour the net to find the means of tracking this vehicle in some way? He knows what car Granger drives now. Can he find it in the net, right? Can he like hack surveillance cameras, toll booth receipts, that sort of thing? I think this is going to be a knowledge check, and it's going to be not almost impossible, but it will be difficult, on the difficult side of things. It'll be difficult. Okay, before I make this roll, we're going to have another bit of a sort of a rewind, as we started off in media res. And we're going to rewind it to maybe a week ago, when Fade was in another bar, a place called, maybe we can quickly generate a name. I think that'd be kind of nice to have. Start rolling sixes. 1, 2, 3, 6. And 6, 3. The virus node, a bar called Virus Node. And Fade is literally sort of watching his last couple credits dwindle on his electronic wallet. He's drinking them away when the contact he's been waiting here finally arrives. What can we say about this character? I'm going to go to... I'm going to break a rule already and go to Mythic for a character, for some character inspiration, because the Mythic tables are really good. If I can find it. Click to sheets and tables. Okay. Well, I found something. Descriptor. Characters. Here's the character table. Let's get appearance. First off, even it's a woman. It's a man. A man comes in. Okay, I kind of like that spin. A little more. 29. Expensive. Okay. And 35. Feminine. Interesting. Okay. Oh, what a twist. Okay. Suddenly an effeminate figure sits down across from Fade, making him do a double take, because although this person fits the physical description of who Fade was told to wait here for, the fact that this person is actually a man sort of takes Fade by surprise. This other person has effeminate features, slender sort of body, however, is dressed in very up to fashion standards corporate attire, right? I'm thinking like a pantsuit with shoulder inserts that are actually full of computing hardware, right? And this figure is in the midst of wrapping up some other conversation that they're in online, although they are not too shy about speaking out loud in this conversation. And it's all about, when the stock gets to a certain price, you need to sell or something like that. It's very like marketing jib jab that Fade frankly, he doesn't care enough to even pay attention to, right? And when this figure starts talking to him, Fade is almost not even aware of it, until they are suddenly introducing themselves. The figure says, "Refer to me." In mid sentence is like blah blah blah. Charlie Brown, wah 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 wah, and you can refer to me as Morgaine. We're gonna write down Morgaine on our character list for purposes of this contract, Mister Fade. Morgaine is in clear like disbelief to actually have to refer to someone as Fade. And that's the first instance where Fade realizes that this person, Morgaine, is talking to him. Okay, Morgaine, you're a friend of a friend of a friend obviously had you reach out to me. And you wouldn't be reaching out to me unless you needed something. And you needed it done below board. Morgaine takes a second to look around Virus Node and makes a big show of pulling a handkerchief from their coat, inside of their breast pocket, and they lay the handkerchief across the table before, likewise from their coat, producing. I'm picturing some sort of like telescoping, unfolding glass and a flask of something. Morgaine pours themselves a drink, not really deigning to drink from an establishment like Virus Node. It's not exactly up to Morgaine's standards. I'm going to write down Virus Node too. It's not going to go on any character or thread list, but I want to get it written down. Oh no, I dropped a paper. Because I could see Virus Node becoming a regular haunt. Anyway, after pouring their own drink and waving off the waiter, Morgaine says, I'm only allotted another 7 minutes and 42 seconds and counting for this conversation Fade. So I literally cannot afford to beat around the bush. A man entered my apartment just this last weekend and recorded me in my sleep. When I confronted this individual, he flashed his Psy PD badge at me and threatened to have me arrested should I press the matter any further. Mr. Fade, to that, Fade sort of smirks because, it's not Mr. Fade. Nevertheless, Mr. Fade, I value my privacy, and the thought of someone not only having access to my apartment, and at this point Morgaine reaches for their drink and takes a sip with a visibly shaky hand, sort of belaying just how difficult even talking about the situation is for them. Mr. Fade, just the implication of someone having access to my apartment and me having no recourse, them thinking I have no recourse of exacting vengeance. Morgaine struggles to find the word just like I do, and finally settles on something that makes them smile, sort of sinister. Is beyond the pale. I'm prepared to pay no small fortune to see that data expunged and this individual brought to swift justice. You don't have any stipulations about confronting Psy PD, do you? Fade, to which Fade says, even if I did, I can't really afford to have scruples at the moment. And Fade has this temptation to finish it with sir or ma'am, can't make up his mind, and just sort of lets that sentiment hang in the air instead. Mr. Fade, I'm willing to compensate you for seeing this done. $3,000 credits to see this individual brought to justice. But I have to stress, I need to see this individual brought to justice. Whether that's by recording or in person, I'll leave that up to you. But for $3,000, I need to know that the data is deleted. And I need to know that this person will never steal away into another apartment again. You have a reputation for finding pleasures in the small things. And when Morgaine mentions this, Fade has a montage reel plays through his brain of getting really good at executing people by ejecting them out of airlocks. And he had sort of a reputation around the station he lived on back when he was corporate security for doing just that. It seems like word's gotten around, following him even to Psy. What do you say, Mr. Fade? Do we have a deal? And Morgaine takes a minute to lift out another handkerchief and wrap it around their hand before extending. I take that back. I think Morgaine would actually put on a actual leather glove, not that synthetic leather stuff, or whatever. A glove whose value is immediately apparent. And Fade shakes the hand, taking on the deal. 3,000 credits to see this Psy PD officer brought to heel. And our flashback scene concludes. We flash back to through a rapid fire scenes of Fade slowly working the beat, making friends and enemies of SciPD in order to slowly narrow down the fact that within the police force, Mr. Granger, Officer Granger, has a reputation for he likes to record women in their sleep, and may or may not have made a assumption when recording or attempting to record Morgaine in their sleep. I think in the context of the scene, Morgaine has gone from feminine to just straight up androgynous. Granger has his opinions. He shot his shots, his creepy shots, and is now going to pay the price for doing so. I think this is going to be a depressing job for Fade. We're not going to resolve this in one session, but we are going to give ourselves one success for in this. Going back to our original scene, Fade now knows he has like a lock on Granger's identity. He's with his vision visor, he's finally put a face on Granger. He's recorded, seeing his face, and he's recorded seeing Granger depart in his squad car. So this brings me all the way back to our original challenge of at DR12, which is difficult. It's normal. Sorry. Can Fade track where Granger drove off to by checking parking records, street cameras, stuff of that nature? This is knowledge DR12, and Fade has a -2. No, it's not immediately obvious where Granger drove off to with Cord and Song. So what's the next best thing to try? Running Granger's identity through known databases to see if you can track down an address. No, let's not do that. We just did that. Instead, Fade crosses the street to go to the casino himself, Lucky Flight. And instead of entering the Lucky Flight, he approaches the valet service, who retrieved Granger's car, and is going to try to sort of coerce the valet into giving up that car. Giving up some information about that car. So what's waiting for him is a very scrawny, sort of downbeaten young man who is in the middle of who is more concerned about avoiding the slightly acidic rain than who's approaching him. So Fade is able to sort of like sneak around up to his booth on him and makes a show of sort of lifting sort of trying to like repair the like broken arm of the awning that's supposed to protect this kid from the rain. Coming on nice. And he says, "Hey, I can't help but notice that my friend looks like he just left, but he left something. He left his and for this fade produces his own like the equivalent of like a wallet, like his own like electronic wallet. And briefly like holds it up. He told me like if he forgets his wallet one more time, his wife's gonna kill him. I really gotta find him. To which the kid is like, well, wouldn't you have his like phone number or anything like that? And Fade says, well, actually, no, because we're not really supposed to be out on a night like this. Like his wife's kind of keeping like a tighter leash on him. And so we kind of snuck out, on the quiet like, and he turned his tracking off. Do you know where what coordinates he punched into his car for the autopilot? Let's see, can we convince this kid? Presence -1, this is going to be DR12. No. Shit. Okay. The kid's like, no, I'm not really supposed to divulge that kind of information, man. The last guy who did that, turns out he was the person they were asking about. He was out cheating on his wife, and his wife had hired a private eye, and I'm not supposed to, so like new company policy is not to divulge that sort of information. And at this point, Fade, sort of not out of any sort of like sadistic impulse, because those days are kind of behind him. He's kind of tired of being perceived that way, but it's hard not to default into it. Produces one of his throwing knives and gets up really close to the kid and sort of menaces him with it. And he goes, look, it's actually not too different here, but the stakes are a little bit higher than just some cheating wife worried about what she's going to have to do with some sort of prenup agreement now. People's lives are at stake. Fade's lying, as far as he knows. And I'm going to need to get those coordinates immediately. And I'm going to spend a glitch at this point because I'm feeling like I'm low on options. So go down to 1 glitch from 2. And glitch is lower test DR by 4 before rolling. So not only that, but I think leaning on using the knife is going to make this difficult to go from 12 to easy. And then -4, it's now simple. But in return, Fade has sort of... This is the first and last time he's ever going to be able to pull this kind of shit at this casino. He's definitely going to be on some sort of watch list at this point. He's burning whatever good bridge he had here. So going for presence again, but looking for 7s. With modifiers. Oh yeah, strong hit. The kid's like is thinking it's not worth it to he's not going to get stabbed protecting this guy that he doesn't even know. He wasn't even a good tipper. And hands over the coordinates because he remembers, because whenever he drops off a car for his valet services, he usually will punch in the coordinates for the next destination on behalf of the people he's picking up the car for. And at this point, I'm going to go back to Mythic and get some sort of inspiration for where Granger, Song, and Cord are off to. I'm going to see if there's like a location table. Scenes. Getting warmer. There we go. All right, looking at the element meaning tables. Let's see. Locations. Okay, I got a table for locations. Let's roll on, it's a D100 table. I have a feeling I should keep these dice close by. 21 is a damaged, so a broken down, peaceful. Ooh, okay. Yeah, the kid is like, I would never, like, who would want to go towards a radiation clinic, just on the outskirts of Go, right? Over in the ports, so like right around here or something like that. Who in their right mind would go there, right? Who could forget punching in those coordinates? Well, thanks, kid. You've been a real help. And Fade leaves him sort of stupefied. And according to, so going back to some housekeeping now, according to Mythic, I believe I'm now to do some bookkeeping. Add list elements. I don't think I have anything to add. And no, so no threads or characters to add. And none to remove either. Adjust the chaos factor. The final bookkeeping task is adjusting the chaos factor. Think about the scene that just happened and whether you think the player characters were in control of events. We did make progress towards one of our goals. And that's, I guess I preemptively checked off a box. If the scene was mostly within your PC's control, give the chaos factor a -1 modifier, lowering the chaos for this adventure, while a scene that was mostly out of their control gives a chaos factor of +1. I think I'm going to raise the chaos factor from 5 to 6 and move on to the next scene. So our chaos factor is now a 6, which only matters as far as how we're using it. Maybe we're going to do more. Maybe I'll like this. I don't know. From 5 to a 6. And we're going to test the expected scene. I think we're moving on to Fade, tracking Cord, Granger, and Song to this defunct radiation clinic outside of Go. So that's our expected scene, right? This is what I mean about Mythic being kind of fiddly for me. I'm sure veterans at this flow through this really fast. Okay. Before we dive into the new scene, we have to check if your expectations happen using the chaos factor. Roll a d10 and compare it to the chaos factor, which is 6. That's reroll. A 2. Interesting. Okay. Roll even within the chaos factor. We are interrupted. So something is going to happen on the way to this clinic, which is interesting. Interrupt scene. While alter scenes play off your expectations, interrupt scenes ignore them entirely. Anything can happen. If your expected scene becomes an interrupt scene, then Mythic details your expectations to send the narrative in a new and unforeseen direction. You generate an interrupt scene the same way you generate a random event. Roll on the event focus table and event. What is a focus table? Okay, so our event focus is going to become a 98 current context. What? Got it. Whatever is happening in the scene right now becomes the focus for this event. If a random event was generated from a fate question, it's triggered from a scene interrupt, then the event is directly related to whatever is currently going on in your adventure. A random event with a focus of current context takes whatever is going on and adds a new layer to it. Oh, okay. So I'll just kind of steal from the example here. Okay, I know what's going on here. Okay. So it's a long ride, from an unexpectedly long ride. And Fade, like Cord, I think I'm going to do this a lot with my characters here. Also, with his Metro card, makes use of public transportation. Although he only has a limited number of trips. So he goes from 3 to 2. Normally he walks where he goes, but this is both far away and he needs to get there as fast as he can. So it's worth the trip. And Fade sort of takes the subway or whatever underneath the Psy to travel from wherever to just north of Go in the ports. Let's get some idea of what the ports are like. Ports. 12. The ports. The ports offered the illusion of escape from within a labyrinthine universe of steel, concrete, and abandoned warehouse, a black market of imports. Drugs and guns, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Fade is waylaid as his train actually comes to a halt as a rare departure flight from the city of Psy is taking off, and the runway actually intersects with the subway tracks. So he's waylaid for a number of it's like when you're in a hurry to get to work and there's a train crossing the tracks, right? And what are the odds that this would happen? Because it's so rare to ever see these runways ever used, right? And it takes a long time because the runways have to be cleared off of like debris and I imagine homeless like tent towns need to be swept out and cleared in order to make the runways cleared and able to be used. Long story short, by the time Fade gets off the train and crosses a couple streets to get to this defunct radiation clinic, it's a ghost town. There's nobody there. Is the door locked to this clinic? First off, let's take a second and structure out the clinic, shall we? Building maker. It's a clinic, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Small or medium? Gonna roll really quick. 1 and 2 is small. 3 and 4 is medium. What did I roll? Tense. It's small. It's a very small clinic. In fact, you can kind of see where the clinic has slowly been sort of eaten away by neighboring facilities and warehouses. When the bombs initially fell, treating people for radiation was a really high priority back when anybody cared to have this kind of priority. But over time, as radiation damage became more and more normalized, the clinic was less and less prioritized and just sort of was eaten away by its neighbor buildings, leaving a 2-story clinic behind. We are going to sketch this out. The first floor let's call this this cap doesn't stay on very well at all. The rad clinic. First floor. Although now that I'm going to be mapping this out, it's going to be done in like 2 dice rolls. First floor is going to be 2 rooms. Connected by a hallway for some reason. The feature in the first room is 3d10. I can do it. I can find the dice. Six and 7. 1, 2, 3. It's moldy. Junkies. Cool. And 4. Burnt. What's the purpose of this room? I think we got to go to Mythic for that. Maybe I like Mythic more than I thought I would. It's just going to take a while to like understand it. Let's see. What if I use dungeon descriptors for a room? Yeah, cool. 96. Treasure. What is a rad clinic have for treasure? It's all the leftover parts. So this is sort of like storage at this point. It's like heaps of like boxes and shipping containers and all that. Everything that was supposed to be like exported from the building. The next room is 5. 1, 2, 3. Squat. There's a small space. Also full of junkies. And also burnt. Interesting. And there is stairs up. And this room used to be the clinic's 96. Dungeon descriptors is not going to do it. Let's try another table. Domicile descriptors. Utilitarian. Oh yeah, this was where all the patients were kept. So there's a bunch of medical tables and stuff. The upstairs consists of 3 rooms. Why would I double back like that? And the stairs go into room 1, 2, 3, 4, into here. And these rooms are connected. All right, cool. Get rid of that. And 23. This room is, 2 is concrete. and noisy, and 10. Hotel, casino, nightclub. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And domicile descriptor. I got 60. Nondescript. Okay. It's sparse. Club. Okay. This room is, I got 10 and 6. Empty. 6. Mall. 3. Cables. Okay, so this is like a gutted, I'm not going to roll into the descriptor. This is like a gutted, like pharmacy. Okay, which I had to keep upstairs. And this last room, 8 to 3. Moldy. Noisy. Cables. I do need a descriptor for this one. Is there something besides domicile we could be rolling on though? City descriptors. Locations. Let's try locations, see what we get. $79. Ruined. Doctor's offices. Still has some like servers and such. Okay, as we go from room to room, we can roll to see what's waiting for us in each one, because I don't want to be too surprised. Let's see. Switch into a dry erase. And, right, that work? Yeah. Okay, I hope that comes off. One or too many of those. What time is it? 10 o'clock. Get out my meeps. Actually, we're not supposed to call these meeples anymore. I hear some old board game company is trying to copyright the term meeple. So, in solidarity, we are not to use the term meeple. So my peoples. So Fade is outside in the exterior of this defunct radiation clinic where he is expecting to find his quarry, Granger. Is the front door locked or otherwise? Is it guarded? I don't think it would be locked, but is it guarded? I think it's possible. So D12. I think it's a yes if I roll over. I rolled 8. It is guarded, but it's guarded by a It's guarded by an NPC. Roll first impression. Where is that? How do we get first impression? Do they mean reaction? It's guarded by 8. An indifferent. I'm just gonna go with it like a junkie. Someone who sort of drew the short straw for guarding the doorway right now. Let's get that Yeah. So at the doorway stands what's clearly not a real guard, but sort of a junkie. And as Fade approaches, he does make a token effort to stop him. You got to know the password to come in here. And Fade tries to play it off. He tries to mumble something, something nondescript under his breath, like some passing attempt at a password. This is going to be a normal attempt to just sort of get around. So DC 12. The -1, what was that, like 16 and a 4? So it's a weak hit. He gets through, but not without the junkie doorman sort of following him in, which is going to influence what we find here. Room filler, D12. What's waiting inside this room? A pile of junk searchable and a weak enemy. As this junkie is like, you're not supposed to be in here, etc., etc. And he sort of swings at Fade, like the Fade's back as he walks past him. We're gonna jump to initiative right off the cuff there. So that is a D6. Enemies act first on a 1 to 3. Nope. Fade definitely sees that punch coming. He turns around and doesn't want to make too much noise, so he brings up one of his like too many throwing knives and tries to stab the guy. Oof. So I roll a d12 to try to hit him, and if I hit, a stab, a dagger does d4 damage. This guard has, this doorman really has d4 hit points. He has only 1 hit point to speak of, and he has no armor. Okay. A nat 20. Oh boy. Double the damage and armor is reduced to 1 tier. So he does 2 damage. So he immediately, so this guard, doorman, junkie, tries to punch Fade in like the back of the head, and Fade whips around real quick, scary quick, and slices the guy with his knife, taking him down to the floor before he even, the guy is dead before he even knows he missed his swing, right? But we did roll a searchable pile of junk in here. And actually, I'm going to say he did it so well that the people in this room, well, let's test their morale. Their morale is double their hit point. So these guys have 4 hit points. There's 4 of them in here, so the morale isn't. Wait. Okay, but the morale is times, or but I'll just deal the damage. It's okay. Okay, I understand what I'm doing. So their morale, the morale of this room is gonna be 2. If you roll over the enemy's morale, okay, 5. And I rolled a 5. Nobody wants to mess with Fade after seeing what he did to that guy. Fade takes a quick look around the room for something useful, because we're now realizing that this place may be trouble. Could use an advantage. Test glitches versus DR12. Okay, I have one glitch left. So I'm gonna guess that's a +1. Okay, I got a weak hit. You find D4. 4. That's a 4. A useful item. Okay, what's a useful item in this game? In solo work. Useful item right here. It's a D6. A 3. I find some random equipment, page 62 of the core book. So as the guy goes down and Fade looks around this sort of junky infested, moldy, burnt out remainder of the clinic, I find, how do you roll on this? This is 1, 2. That can't be right. You know what? I'm going to roll on the starting gear table. I'm going to roll on the second one, the D12. I find a bioscanner. Oh, sweet. Okay, I find a leftover bioscanner in one of the crates that was supposed to be picked up and shipped off to a still functioning hospital. And make my way past hesitant junkies to the hallway to this room where now I can hear music coming from the stairs up above. And waiting for me in this room is and now we're vibing. D12. A 12. 4 and 6, a useful item or something really bad. Interesting. 4 and 6, a useful item. So the junkies here, I have forgotten to. Oh shit. The useful item is always really hard to figure out on the fly. It is a. Okay, let's get these dice out of here. It's a 6. Jackpots. An anonymous cred stick with 2,000. Oh, okay. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write it down under cyber tech. Cred stick with 2K. Searching for the stairs in this small room that's really crowded with sort of like stations of like patients' beds and stuff like that. A half-open locker door catches Fade's eye, and some patient never left with his old cred stick. And Fade climbs the stairs just a little bit richer. Waiting for him in this room. Nine. Is nothing dangerous. It's an empty. It's a gutted pharmacy. No one sort of hangs out here. Probably because it's too noisy. What with the doors leading straight into this sparse club. and the noisy defunct server room. Faye's he has better luck with people than he does technology, and so he tries his luck going into the club, which is has a shitty like hand-drawn sign above the doorway, identifying itself as the hardcore hurt club. Interesting. H core hurt. And waiting for him in here as he looks around at not enough people to really call this a club. It's sort of like a like right on the opening hour of a bar or a club. It's always got like a weird energy until the people come in, doesn't it? There is someone who spies Cord and not Cord. I get my names mixed up. Spies Fade. Fade is actually approached by some dude with stuff to sell. Someone who identifies like, hey, you're not from around here. If you're here to pick the place over, it's already been sort of done. But me and my boys, we've got a lead on. I'm taking all that back. The person who approaches Fade says, "Hey, I used to be one of the physicians here at the clinic. You know, I could patch you up if you needed that." Fade tries not to be dismissive of this guy, this out-of-work physician, too immediately. But maybe this is... says, "No, I don't need any medical attention right now, but I'm looking for a friend. Does anyone else come through this area?" And let's see. I don't want to do it just yes or no. I want to do like a yes and or a no but. As Fade gives a description of Granger, Song, and Cord to this out-of-work physician, he said, "Anyone like this come through here?" Let's see. Did the physician see any one of these three come through here? I want to say it's likely. It's likely they were here. We know they were here. It's very likely. So 85% chance that they were here. Where's my other D10? 36. Not a strong hit, but a hit. Yeah. Ooh, here's the question. I'm going to go to a simpler oracle for this. Did they need the physician's help? It's possible. So on a 6 or higher, yes, they did. I don't like the mythic oracle. Yes, they did. Yeah. Actually, was it? Which one of them was it? 1 and 2 is Cord. 3 and 4 is Song. Yeah. They the woman with them. I forget her name. Sonia something maybe. Yeah, she was hurt. Something. I think they got into a scrap of trouble, and I had to treat her for some gunshot wounds. They didn't say how they got them. As a matter of fact, they did. They mentioned they had a run-in with those boys, those beasts, the what do you call them? The holy beasts. I guess I'm not sure what the context was, but the lady, she got shot up pretty bad. The credits were good, so I did what I could for her and stitched them up, and then they said they were going to try to lay low. They're somewhere here in the neighborhood. Okay, and so, knowing he's a little bit closer to his quarry, we are going to end the night with Fade, checking off, another box. He is in the right neighborhood. And I think when we come back next session, I will use that, I used it last time where I tried to, augmented reality. I'm going to build out a neighborhood, because they're here, they're in the area. With this, the hardcore hurt clinic. They're here somewhere. Just gotta close it. Okay, so a little bit. That's the end of the scene. I don't need to update any threads or anything like that. But again, I think the chaos factor. Let's see, how does that go again? It's whether or not things broke our way into scene bookkeeping. We don't need to add any list elements or remove any, but we do need to adjust the chaos factor. A scene that was mostly within your PC's control gives a chaos factor of -1 modifier. So we're going to go back down to a 5. As Fade did much better here than he did at the casino. So next time we play, chaos factor 5. If you watch this whole video, I appreciate it. Again, I don't want to get too, look at what we did tonight. I have an oracle here. I have the oracle in solo work, and technically I have the oracle right here. That's too many. So I did really like the twist of Mythic GME with the random event. I never would have come up with a clinic all on my own. And I really liked using solo work to generate this clinic turned into like a junkie hostel / shitty nightclub. I never would have come up with that on my own. So I think I am circling a system that works for me. I don't know how I feel about using like chaos factor. Is it worth tracking a chaos factor if I'm only using it to generate scenes? I don't know. I could see that not being the case. And I do like, even if I do like the idea of keeping track of threads and characters. That's kind of cool. And I hope that it sees more action as we play. But I'm probably not going to look at that so much. Although I did like using Mythic for their tables. I might print those out. How bad would that be to print out? How bad would that be? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe like 15 pages of tables, because every 3 tables there's 3 tables to a page. That's not too bad. I could see the value of having these printed out, because I was scrolling through them quite a bit. So I might do that. So grab just this, lose this, keep this. This I love. This I'm ready to start using maybe instead of this. I don't know. Okay, but the point is going to keep trying to keep it simple. So, because I feel like all this bookkeeping stuff can kind of get in the way of just playing the game. Anyway, thanks for watching, and looking forward to seeing what happens next session. Big time.